You should be able to tell me what you would pay for an investment without even knowing what the asking price is. See, a lot of beginning investors make this mistake. They think that the value of what something is the price of the stock or the price of the property if it's a real estate investment, or they think the value is how much is the price today compared to what it was before. How many of you have made this mistake? If you're looking at a home on Zillow and it's listed at, let's say, $499, and you look and they just bought it a year ago for $399, and you're like, that's outrageous. But the reality is that the value of an investment, whether it's a stock or a real estate, has nothing to do with the actual asking price. The asking price just tells you whether or not you're getting a good deal. So you should be able to analyze an investment with a stock or a real estate property. You should be able to analyze the deal and tell me exactly what you would pay for it without even knowing what the asking price is. And if you're going for an off-market property, then you really do have to come up with what price you're gonna pay, because you're gonna have to go to that seller and say, hey, here's the price I could pay you for your property. And they're not gonna have a price in their mind, because they probably weren't even thinking about selling the property. Because you're going after an off-market deal, you're one of the first people to talk to them about even buying the property in the first place. Or if they were thinking about selling the property, they probably want you to throw out an offer first just to see how much you're willing to pay and see if it's more than they were thinking. You know, and it's true in a negotiation, it's typically better if you can get them to name a price. And if I'm gonna be talking to a seller about a property, I'm gonna have a price in my mind already, but I do wanna have them probably give me what their price is gonna be. But you should still be able to analyze an investment and come up with what the property is worth in its current condition, and then what you'd be willing to pay for it before you even find out what the asking price is. The same is true of a stock. You should actually be able to look at a stock and look at the earnings per share of a company over the last couple years, and then determine, based on an average industry multiplier, the price to earnings ratio, what should that stock be priced at? And then once you know what that is, you can look at what the going rate on the market is today and determine if it's a good buy or not. You see, it has nothing to do with whether or not the price has gone up or down lately. You know, for example, you could have an investment where the price has gone up quite a bit, but it's still a great deal. You could have an investment where the price has gone really far down, but it's still a terrible buy. So it just really has nothing to do. Just because one person is asking a price doesn't make it worth that price. Or just because someone paid a certain price yesterday doesn't have any indication on what the value is today. So when I'm analyzing our real estate deals, you know, usually I do know what the price is being asked, but I try to take that completely out of the equation and just forget about it and do all of my deal analysis on the actual facts of the property. That is, what is the income potential of the property based on what I could expect to get for rent, and what are my expenses going to be? You know, what are the taxes, the insurance, the ongoing maintenance, the management fees, the utilities? I should be able to come up with all those numbers, figure out what my cash flow is going to be. Based on my cash flow, apply my cap rate and determine what price I'd be willing to pay for that property before I even know what the asking price is, or just forgetting what the asking price is, because the asking price really has no indicator on what that value of that property is. Looking at the asking price of an investment shouldn't even be an equation when you're analyzing a deal. You know, and a lot of people ask, okay, well, what about the loan portion? You know, I don't know what to plug in for my monthly payment if I don't know what price I'm going to pay for the property. The loan portion is going to play into your cash flow, but that shouldn't be part of how you determine what a property is worth. And there's a number of reasons for that. One is obviously because loans will fluctuate. You know, lending fluctuates with the market, as you're seeing right now. That doesn't change the value of the property. It might determine whether or not that property positively cash flows, and I do still encourage you to factor that in and look for a positively cash flowing property. But cap rate actually takes the loan payment completely out of the equation. So when you look at a cap rate with a real estate property, what you're doing is you're taking the net operating income without loan expenses, so the principal and interest you're going to pay on a loan that you get a mortgage for a property. When you're using the cap rate, you take the net operating income, so that's the income minus the expenses, but you don't include the loan payment. And the reason is that the loan payment is going to fluctuate depending on what price you pay for the property, depending on the market conditions as you're seeing right now, depending on what type of lending you can get. I mean, there's so many different ways that the loan price will actually fluctuate, but that doesn't actually have any bearing on the value of the property. So you take that out. And what that helps you do is you can actually look at the income and the expenses, apply the cap rate for that market, and determine what a fair price would be before you even know what price you're going to pay. I do encourage you to find out what the debt service monthly payment would be, so principal and interest on a loan for that property, taking into account the down payment. You know, so if a property is worth $200,000 and you're going to put 20% down, that's $40,000. Your loan's only going to be $160,000, not $200,000, which is what you paid for the property. And do take that number and then figure out, okay, you've got your net operating income. Now take out the loan, and now is it cash flow positive? Based on that net free cash flow, Are you making money every year, every month? What's your return on your investment? So that's your real cash on cash return on investment. So there's a lot of terms I'm talking about here that I had no clue what they meant or how to calculate them when I first got into real estate. And I'm gonna do more videos to describe to you what these terms are. But what I encourage you to do is just start playing with these numbers, Googling the terms, getting familiar with them. It's really gonna help you figure these things out. But what this comes down to is determining what the value of an investment is without knowing the asking price. And that means you can analyze a deal by looking at the income potential, taking out the expenses, and figuring out from there what a fair price for the property would be. So that if I brought a property to you, you could completely analyze it and give what price you would pay for that property before you even know what someone's asking price might be. Do me a favor, if you got any value out of this video at all, I'm just trying to share with you my experiences with real estate investing and what I learned. So leave a comment and tell me what you got out of this video and also what you'd like to see in future videos. Also, if you do me a favor and just share this video with some of your friends who might also be interested in investing so that more people can, get this content that I'm sharing and maybe learn something from it.